All right, we're Team 7. I'm Steven. You'll be talking to Benny and Sufyan. Today we're here to talk to you about organizational memory theory. Organizational memory, or OM, is defined as the retention, the acquisition, and the retrieval of information within an organization. This has to do with the knowledge, the skills, anything passed down from a mentor to a protege, any kind of projects worked on, documents that were done in the past, anything that is pretty much the groundwork of the organization that has completed or done that could be used in the future to help out the organization. Today we'll be talking a little bit about a brief history about organizational memory. Uh, we'll go over a diagram, show you how it works within the organization, the pros and cons, and as well as a summary and how it can be used in a business aspect. So here's Benny to talk to you about a brief history.
Thanks, Stephen. As you said, my name is Benny, and I'll be talking about a brief history of organizational memory. We look today, several scholars publish articles that refer to organizational memory. But if we look back, we'll see that organizational memory was largely based on the work of two men. Early in the 20th century, scholars such as Durkheim, who based his assumptions on collective memory, which refers to the shared pool of information held in the memories of two or more members of a group, and Vygotsky, whose work is based on a social construction theory, which is the dependence on contingent variables of our social selves rather than any inherent qualities that it possesses in itself. What this means is that we retrieve memories from ourselves as well as by other means throughout the organization. As, show, as we move to the next slide, we'll see a model of organizational memory which was developed by Walsh and Unson in 1991. We'll see the decision environment, the organization, the retention facilities, which I'll talk about next, and information retrieval. Basically, the information will come in as information acquisition, such as employee name or their phone number, address, things of that nature. Will be placed into these 6 bins: individuals, culture, transformation, structures, ecology, and external archives, which could then be retrieved by others through the information retrieval of other people inside of the organization. The retention facilities include, as I said, individuals, culture, transformation, structures, ecology, and external archives. Individuals refer to employees of the organization. Culture, which are stories, and mental modes are things that employees or higher level officials would add their experiences, and that would go into the culture of the organization. Transformations refer to various processes and procedures, such as filling out a timesheet, um, documenting the work that you've completed throughout the day, things of that nature. Structures, which refer to roles within it, it refers to roles in the organization, such as the CEO, low-level management, middle management, and also employees. We also have ecology, which are the physical settings of the organization, meaning your physical surroundings throughout the organization, the building, the address, things of that nature. We also have, as you can see, external archives. These refer to things that are like uh, information documentation, financial statements, employee information, and things of that sort. As we go on, as you see, we're going to talk about the pros and cons. I want to pass it off to next team member, Sophian. He'll do a job of explaining the pros and cons.
Thank you, Benny. Here I am. I'm about to really start talking a little bit more about what takes place when we talk about pros and cons for any organization when it comes to organizational memory. Let me start first by telling you that it's quite interesting to know what can we do and what we should avoid actually in order for us to implement this organizational memory method. First of all, let me start with the strength. Uh, Actually, we can look at it from a very simple point. Um, the organizational memory should be taken as a blueprint for the HR in order to improve their knowledge management. That's very simple, but also requires some good information to apply that kind of method. Second of all, we're talking about how we can use this organizational memory method to gain and also have a competitive advantage in the market. Uh, Another aspect of it also is the re reduction of transaction costs that can really be quite significant when you don't apply what you really learned from and from your prior mistakes. The last part, which is not as important as other aspects I mentioned before, which is how we can let the organizational memory play a major role in the political aspect of it within the organization. Uh, let's talk more about the cons of the organizational memory. It could be uh, such a negative thing when you are really quite not allowing yourself to develop or to look at the outside environment. When you know only what you know inside your organization, you are disabling yourself from increasing your knowledge and letting the learning curve spike up. Another aspect also, which is how we cannot let the institution or organization stop learning. You can never stop learning. You're always gonna really try to compete with your competitors and see how they're really playing in the market. That way you can increase your market share and stay in the business. Another one, which is the history habitual. Uh, there is a terminology for it, which is the single loop learning. Actually, what that means is that when you really correct that simple problem you have or you're working with, you just stop right there. And that's not what really organizational memory should do. You should go back and change the business process. You implement it in the first place because that's the problem. The problem is the foundation itself, not really what just on top of the foundation. And the last part, which is how we should let the organizational memory play as just an enhancement, not really as a rule of thumb. And let me go ahead and pass from my friend Steve to continue on elaborating on more aspect of the organizational memory.
Alright, once again, I'm Steven, and I'll be talking to you about the actual business aspects of organizational memory. Organizational memory can be used by different softwares, as in a mid-sized company like we learned with Microsoft SharePoint, as well as larger companies with Lotus Notes or a software called Documentum. These are programs that involve a database that take all this information and be able to do what organizational memory does, which is the retention, the acquisition, and the retrieval of this memory. It'll be stored in a database where it can be gone back and looked at any time by anybody within an organization. By doing so, like we learned, you can fix problems, learn from your mistakes, and advance yourself in the future. But when it's looked too much upon, like Sophion said, it could be detrimental or harmful to the company. So it's a good thing to use, but not only the only thing you want to use within an organization. So today we've talked about a brief history, the pros and cons, how you could use organizational memory in your business, and some software behind it to tell you how it actually be implemented. So that's what we've had today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.